Hi folks, we're back. I'm Matt.
And I'm Ange.
And today we're going to be talking about our Ford Towing Bootcamp experience.
Today we want to talk about how we ended up taking the Ford Towing Bootcamp down at the Raleigh Fairgrounds in August. We started out by going down to the fairground on Friday and looking at all the RVs that we were interested in. We were able to do that after work on Friday, and we actually went through every fifth wheel that we wanted to see that was down inside the convention center that evening. And we noticed that there was a session the next day that Ford was sponsoring on towing. So we wanted to go down and see that one 1 hour session on towing. So in the morning, we decided to go and test drive some Fords, and we ended up at a Ford dealership. We test drove a 450 and a 350. And then we went to Chevy on the way between the Ford dealership and the fairgrounds, and also test drove a 3500. And what we came out with after driving those three vehicles was that they all drove extremely well. We liked them all, but we were really impressed with the turning radius on the 450.
So we got down to the fairgrounds and walked into where the presentation was and thought that we were late or it had started a little early because the presentation was already going. But it turns out that we had walked into the end of the Ford Towing Bootcamp. The gentleman who was speaking told everyone that if you hadn't signed up and you wanted to participate, to just go outside and go ahead and sign up. So not knowing what we were doing, we did that. And we ended up getting into the towing boot camp. We walked out and they had spaces available and they signed us up. And then to our great surprise, they took us out back and said, your truck's over there. Yeah. And we went, huh? Okay. And so they put us into a truck that was backed up to a travel trailer and it was put you in the driver's seat.
It was actually antimatter blue. It was the perfect little F-450. It was cute as it could be, and it was the right color and everything.
I didn't get to see what happened next because I got out, and it turns out I met Steve, who at the time I just thought was one of the instructors or one of the organizers of it. And it turns out that Steve is the director for Ford for the entire program. So we had a great conversation on the program and what they're doing, none of which did I get on tape. And I was watching Ange here do the driving. So I got out and watched them. The first thing you did was, it looks like they taught you to move forward and backwards in a straight line. Right. Well, the first one was they pull forward, right? So they had me pull the truck forward. And yeah, you're right. I did. I went forward and then went backwards. And then we went forward and made a big left turn. So the whole idea with this was to get me to understand how the wheels were tracking on the trailer behind me. And then they taught me that I have to swing wide and go farther in before I start turning so that the trailer can follow me around. So what they were teaching me was trailer swing, right? And we didn't talk about how the boot camp is set up. So Ford does supply the trucks for this boot camp and the instructors. The vendors at the RV show supply the trailers. So some of them were RVs. The first one, travel trailers. The first one that I was towing was an all electric travel trailer. That's right.
Which was the reason the charge was a problem. And then the second one was more of a utility trailer that we later found out had some equipment in the back that wasn't tied down. But because that kind of surprised all three of the people that were in the truck at one point.
Bang.
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 Both, yeah. Bang. They had me hit the brakes and we felt it hit as it hit. It hit hard, whatever. I'm so sorry to whoever's trailer I was driving. But anyways, so you're driving a truck that's provided to you by Ford, a trailer that's provided to you by one of the nice vendors inside the convention center, right? Or in our case, the fairgrounds. And you're backing them up next to each other. Like I was backing my trailer up right next to another trailer, right next to another Ford truck that's brand new, right? And they were okay with this. I mean, they were completely okay with it. So, yeah, but we started out doing the big left turn, so I understood trailer swing and getting those wheels to actually go around the corners that I wanted them to do. I caught that really quick. I've pulled trailers before, so that wasn't a huge thing. And then they wanted me to back this thing up using that little round thing around, the turny thing that's around the Pro Assist.
Right.
That's like using a Nintendo Switch or a Game Boy, right? The gaming controls, which I'm not super good with to begin with. We'll just go that way. So I was not super successful with that.
To start with.
I feel okay with it now. Okay, so the entire premise of this is that you've got this ring, and instead of using your steering wheel to back up, which if you have your hands on the top of your steering wheel and you want the right side of your trailer to move right, you've got to move your steering wheel to the left, right, to get it to go right. Or you hold the bottom of your steering wheel and then you can go in the direction of your trailer, which is how my dad taught me to back up trailers when I was young, right? So I tend to put my left hand on the bottom of my steering wheel and look over my shoulder when I'm backing up a trailer, and I can put that trailer anywhere I want to. And then they had me do it with this ring, and I felt so goofy-footed because it's just this teeny little ring. They wanted me to look at the screen. I'm used to looking behind myself. I didn't have confidence in that screen that I wasn't going to hit something. I did get it, and I do understand the premise. But I'll also say, I think he's going to be better with the ring than I am. Way better.
I am a better gamer than she is.
Much better. Yeah, so it's not that I don't feel comfortable with it, because I think I do now. It's just, to start out with, the guy in the back seat at one point said, "You seem to be fighting the ring." And I was like, I know I can get this trailer in there. I'm just not comfortable with everybody walking around. There were like 8 trailers moving around this little parking lot at that point. We're all backing them up and moving them around. There's people walking around out there, and they want me to stare at a screen and not see what's going on behind me, and that made me uncomfortable. I will also say that now that we have the truck, I use the screens more than I ever thought I would.
Right.
Like, we were backing the truck in to our driveway, and I back it up to where it parks using the screens because it's got that top-down view, and I can see right where the dually wheels are going to be and make sure that they stay on the driveway.
Right. It just takes a while to get used to it. The trip across the country helped us get used to the cameras on it quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
But the first time it's a little strange.
It is.
So they taught you to pull out and back up, and you were doing some fairly easy stuff. And then I'm talking to Steve, and the next thing I know is you're driving out the end of the gate, going out into the main parking lot. You were gone for like a half hour. What happened?
Oh yeah. So. Yes, once they felt like I was okay with backing it up, which I've backed trailers up again before, so it didn't really bother me. They said, "Let's go out in the parking lot and we're going to work on just towing with you." And I was like, "Okay." So we went out. We were doing serpentines in the parking lot with a trailer on it. We did them forward and backwards, and we also did some turning around corners, and she used her disposable water bottle and put it down and said, "I want you to turn, and I want you to get your back wheels right next to this and not tap it." So like you'd be doing when you're going next to a curb, right? And she said the whole idea behind this is not to crush the water bottle. I only crushed it once. I crushed it though. And then we used a crushed water bottle after that, but I only ran over it once.
Right. So you learned to back it up, right? And then you brought it back in, and half hour later you bring it back in from the other side of the parking lot, because you went all the way around the parking lot.
No, we went in and out the same gate.
Okay.
We did go in and out the same gate. The other side doesn't have a gate in that parking lot. That's where they were taking us all over to do when we turned left to begin with. We had 8 trailers then sitting left in this parking lot. There was no gate over there. But yeah. You just don't know where I left. At that point, he was talking to his new best friend, Steve, and 2 engineers in a parking lot. There's got to be a movie about that at some point.
So anyway, so you bring it back, and they ask you to back it up and park it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we had to unhitch. I had not learned how to hitch yet. Everybody else did their hitching to begin with, and when everyone started moving, they wanted me to be moving too. So we did my hitching at the end instead of at the beginning.
Right. So this is a couple of hours, and you've been out there, and you learned how to hitch it, how to pull it forward, some basic towing fundamentals, how to back it up.
The importance of doing the cross chaining, the difference between cross chaining a regular trailer and a gooseneck, because we had told them at one point we wanted a gooseneck. We talked about a bunch of stuff.
Right. So everything you needed to know on the first day to hitch and pull it the very first day.
If I had bought a trailer at that RV show, I could have taken it home without a problem if I had actually owned a truck.
Right.
But it was truly amazing. And this is one of those situations where we probably did this a little bit backwards. I have every confidence Matt is going to have no problem with this trailer. That being said, I'm the one that had experience with trailers, and I'm the one that drove. Because our intention is for me to drive most of the time, which we told them, so they put me in the driver's seat first. What we probably should have done is have the person who was not confident in backing up a trailer in the since we only had one of us do it, right? He was happy talking to Steve. He probably learned more doing that.
Right.
But that would be my one suggestion. If you are going to do this and you're a couple and only one of you is going to take this course, I would have the person that is the least confident and that you don't think is going to be doing the backing up a lot take the course.
Right.
Right?
Well, we'll watch to see if it's available other places. The schedule for 25 we don't think is up online yet, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But you had a good enough experience that I'm looking forward to trying to take it the next time it's available someplace that we can get to it.
Yeah, and then that says a lot that he's going to go through it again, right? Because he got what he needed out of that day.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. We both got what we needed out of that day.
But at the time that I was doing it, I was focused on understanding what the features of the truck were and comparing them to other brands so that I knew what to buy. I wasn't focused so much on how to drive it, right? It was more of a buyer's aid. So we get done, right? Or you get done and it's at the end of the day. And
well, let's talk about the backing up first.
Sure.
When you're actually going to hitch.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
So the coolest thing about this truck is that you get these stickers and you put them on your trailer, and that lets your truck understand that that's a trailer back there, and then you can actually set your trailers up. Like, let's say I have a lawn trailer and I have a show trailer for my business and I have my RV. I can have all of those different trailers set up, and then it asks me if I'm hitching to a trailer when I first turn on the Pro Assist, and you say yes and tell it which trailer it is, and it knows where to look for the little backup sticker that you have to put on to the trailer. Once you have that sticker on, the truck can back up to the trailer without your help. You just hold the little button in and the wheel spins and the gas and the brake work. The truck's doing it. Your feet aren't on the gas and the brake and you don't touch the wheel. You just hold a button in on the dash and it backs it up to within 6 inches of the receiver, or whichever one is on the trailer. I know the actual ball or hitch is on the truck, right? So it backs it up so that they're about 6 inches apart. It asks you to get out of the truck and then make sure that it's 6 inches above and 6 inches in front of, right? And if it is, you go back and say, okay, it is, and hold it in, and it'll back it up those last 6 inches. So it's not gonna get close enough to the actual, hitch on the trailer to damage the trailer without, you checking it first and making sure that it's in the right position. It is massively cool. I mean, because I don't know, when I was backing boats up, most of the time they were already hitched, right? I wasn't having to hitch the boats. To be quite honest, I was making money sitting down at a dock, putting people who couldn't get their boats into the water for them. That's how I made extra cash when I lived down by the beach. So yeah. I'm used to driving other people's trucks and backing them up. Just saying. Now you know too much about me. So yeah. I would also pull them out at the end of the day, because a lot of people buy boats in Florida that are not comfortable with backing their truck down a ramp into the water. So yeah. And it wasn't my truck, so I was completely comfortable with it. So yeah. So the way that it backs it up, super cool. And then you get out, put your finish hitching it, cross your chains if you're doing a trailer or a gooseneck, and you're ready to go, or hook your chains up.
So while you were doing that and having that, Steve was watching, and we asked a question about gooseneck, and Steve went and called the factory and said, hey, we're demoing this working with a traditional travel trailer hitch. Will this whole backup feature work with the fifth wheel or a gooseneck? And the answer came back yes. And at that point, I was sold on that at that point, right? Because it turns out in North Carolina, for this class of vehicle, I'm going to have to get a non-commercial Class A, which involves another skill test, including having to back your truck up and put your trailer in a variety of places and parallel park it, but you bring your own equipment, and they can't tell you not to use the equipment that's in your truck. So when I go to take the skills test and I'm driving my truck and trailer with a little round knob rather than having to use the wheel and everything like that, I'm counting on this helping the skills test be much easier, because I'm going to be taking it on a 53-foot semi-course, and so I'm looking forward to this technology. We got done with the class, and that gave us a pretty good idea of kind of what we wanted. I think we walked out of that pretty high on Ford at that point.
Yeah, if they had had a 450 sitting in the front of that place for sale, it probably would have gone home with us that day.
Yep. If they had brought a car trailer or full of F-450s, some dealer could have been making them, because
and it would not have just been us.
Right.
Because here's the thing: walking around the RV show that afternoon and evening, it was very apparent who had taken the Ford Towing Bootcamp and who the other people that had. And we ended up more than once in a toy hauler, everybody sitting around in this toy hauler talking about the Ford Towing Bootcamp. It gave us the confidence that we could do this, right?
So we're walking around inside, and they gave us this little hitch cover for taking the class, and none of us had bags available to put them in, so we're all walking around the show with them. And several times, as Andrew said, we were sitting down in fifth wheels at the dining room or the kitchenette, talking to people about our experience, and it was overall really positive. And multiple times, other people were coming through, other show patrons came through and asked us and stopped and said, "Well, what did you do? We saw the Ford thing going on, and we talked about it." So if Ford had the boot camp second day, just the people talking about it the first day would have filled the class.
Well, they did have it on Sunday too. We just didn't go down on Sunday.
That's right.
So we were telling them, go to the Ford booth and see if they still have any place, any availability. Because obviously they had at least 2 seats available, because we were able to sign up the day of.
At the last
I don't know if that's normal or not. Like right. I said, we went completely cold into this. I don't know if that's normal or not.
I think it's pretty obvious. We feel like we got pretty lucky.
Yeah.
This really made a big difference. So we got done. We knew the technology, and then for the next 6 to 8 weeks, we went and tried to cross shop to learn about other capabilities. And we met a lot of really nice salespeople, but I think that we've got one commonality between all the other brands that we shopped, and that commonality was
they don't know their technology.
They don't know their technology. We test drove a variety of GMCs and Silverados and Ram products, and there were so many times we asked the question about, well, can it do this, something that we'd seen the Ford do, and the salesperson was like, oh yeah, we can do that, but they couldn't show it to us, or when we're test driving, we couldn't get it to work, and
it was little things like I still contend that you can probably keep the cameras up on all of them
as you're driving.
I know for a fact you can do it on the Ford though, because every time we were in a construction zone coming back across the US, we would have that split back view where you can see your two dually wheels was up on our screen. That gave me so much more confidence going through the construction zone through the I went through a construction zone that when you're looking at the semis in front of you, they had inches on either side of them. It was scary. And they were saying, if you're over X width, get off the road. And I kept looking at Matt and said, are we over that? And he's like, no, we're inside of that. We have about a foot. And I was like, okay. And then the semi goes through in front of me and I'm like, what the are we doing? Why did we not get off the road? But we were able to watch the back wheels, and I was able to white knuckle it going through that construction zone.
Right. But when we went to some of the when we went and test drove some of the other vehicles, right, they were giving us the book answer, but they couldn't show it to us. And so we feel pretty confident that there's probably somewhat equivalent technology. But when you're paying this much money, you want to know that it's got the technology for you. And given that I'm not confident with, my ability to back up, having all the technology help that we can have to make it safer, make it more reliable, and to pass the test was really kind of critical. And we came down to between the boot camp and the people at Capital Ford in Raleigh and Chris at Crossroads Ford, and then Laura out in Pasco, Washington, they all were able to give us the same answers, and it was consistent answers. And that made us feel really confident that we were making the right decision.
Yeah.
So I think the summary of all of these great stories is that we really liked the towing boot camp.
We did. I think it was well worth the investment that was made. And
I think we'd recommend it to anyone.
I would sign up in advance. Go up to the Ford. It's Ford. The Ford Towing Bootcamp website, right? Right now there are none listed for 2025. I'm sure that they're going to go up closer to the end of the year, probably. I would be looking, if you're going to be at the Tampa show, I would look to see if they're going to be at the Tampa show.
Right.
Because that's a huge RV show. So that would be the next time I would think that they would be doing this.
And in 24, they had, from talking to Steve, they had them at a couple of RV shows like Raleigh. They also had one at the, they were going to have some at the Dallas Motor Speedways and a couple of other places. Those got canceled due to weather events. But go up and look and watch the website. And if it's, my recommendation is that it's definitely worthwhile traveling several hours to go to one of these if you do. It's a half-day event. And they cover a lot of material that's really good.
So the classes, I want to say that the actual seminar that you sit in on is like an hour, and then you're outside for like 2 or 3 hours. So it is definitely a half-day event. And I wouldn't think twice about flying into Florida to do this.
Right.
So, but then again, I don't think twice about flying to Washington to pick up a truck either. So.
True.
Use that information as you will.
Right. So all told, it helped us figure out what we wanted. It gave us information on how to compare versus other brands. And it gave us a lot of confidence that very first day when we picked it up, because we picked it up and drove it 2.5 hours that first day as a dually.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you have to think that I'm sure this is expensive for Ford to do, but they sell a couple of these trucks because they've done this it's worthwhile to Ford too, right? Because they have educated consumers at that point, and they have people that are buying Ford trucks because of the education that they've received.
Right. So overall, many thumbs up, many great thanks to Steve and his entire team. Caroline, who was your
Was my instructor, yeah.
was your instructor, and everyone at Ford for putting that on. And we're going to have a couple videos coming out in the near future about the features of the truck, what we like about it, what we still don't understand about it, how we're going to connect it. Obviously, without an RV, we can't do our own backup and towing quite yet, but when we get the RV, we'll show you how we did that. So if you want to keep appraised of our process as we buy an RV and connect and get ready to go to Alaska in the summer of 2025, hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified when those videos come out. Anything else for the folks?
No, I hope that you're enjoying your journey to become an RVer or your time with your RV as well. And we look forward to meeting you out on the road someday.
Take care.